Our next multi-step equations involve fractions. And it's always easier to solve equations without fractions, so we're going to practice clearing fractions from an equation before solving. The steps are pretty simple. The first thing you need to do is to determine your common denominator. Once you know your common denominator, you multiply all your numerators by that common denominator. Simplify and solve. Simple. Let's try a few together. So on number 4, I want to solve the equation, but I have some fractions. I don't like that. My common denominator between those two fractions is 8. So that means I'm going to take every single term and multiply the numerator by 8. So 3 multiplied by 8 is 24k over 4. Negative 1 multiplied by 8 is negative 8. Basically, I'm distributing. 3 multiplied by 8 is 24 over 8. And 2k multiplied by 8 is 16k. So at this point, you're probably thinking that didn't help much. But let's see what happens in our next step when we simplify. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. Fraction cleared. Minus 8 equals 24 divided by 8, 3. Fraction cleared. Minus 16k. So now we have equation with no fraction, and we just need to isolate our variables. So we have equations with variables on both sides now. What do? I need to get all of my variables on one side and all of my constants on the other. A usual rule of thumb is to move all your variables to the left, but you can move them to the right. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and add positive 16x or 16k to this side, and this cancels on that side. So now I have 22k minus 8 equals 3. Two-step equation. So next, I will do adding 8. And I'll have, let me move this up here, 22k equals 11. Last step to isolate k is divide by 22. Now remember, we're not using a calculator. Let's simplify this. What goes into both 11 and 22? 11. If I divide both of these by 11, I get 1/2. And remember, I could plug it in to check my answer, but I'm not. Let's go ahead and skip down to number 6 together. Now this one, it has fractions, but it also has the distributive property. Always distribute first before you try to clear your fractions. It's much easier without parentheses involved. So I'm going to distribute this 1/3, making that 2 a 2 over 1. As I distribute, I get 2 over 3x plus 1 over 6 equals 3 over 2. Now that there aren't any parentheses, now I can clear my fractions. So remember, distribute first, then clear fractions. If you need to make a note of that on your page, please do. So once again, common denominator of 2, 3, and 6 is 6. So I'm going to multiply everything by 6, numerators only. So 2 times 6 is 12x over 3. 1 times 6 is 6 over 6. And 3 times 6 is 18 over 2. So now I'm going to simplify and solve. 12 divided by 3 is 4x plus 1 equals 9. Beautiful. Two-step equation. Now I will subtract 1. 4x equals 8. And then my last step to isolate my x is to divide by 4. X equals 2. So once again, you could plug in this answer to check. So I'm going to leave number 5 for you all to try on your own, and I will be looking for this problem in class tomorrow.